it was an abnormally long night. One of the problems I'll probably have is insomnia, because I have a hard time shutting it off at night, and throughout this whole process I'll probably be up late a lot working, but until I get into a good sleep cycle, because when I lay down at night after I've been working on something all day, I cannot turn it off. So one of the things some people might ask is, why are you messing around with servers and your web host and all these things when there's companies that just do that for you? Why don't you use Shopify or one of the other platforms that's ready to go? You just turn it on and start plugging things in, Wix for the site builder, things like that. And there's multiple reasons for that. First of all, I'm an IT guy. It's in my blood. It's been there for decades, and it'll never leave me. So for me to stay sharp on certain things and understand things from a conceptual standpoint, if the business grows beyond a certain point, then I'll have to pay other people to do this type of work. And I need to understand from a conceptual standpoint how things work and what the best way to do it is. That way I can make the best decisions for the company. Probably the biggest reason is flexibility. So, the ability to be able to programmatically change and alter the website and the e-commerce site and everything to do what I need it to do is extremely important to the operation and even to customer service. Now, I'll give you an example how I handled this before, and one of the things that just creates efficiency and saves money in the long run. We had a situation where we used to get tons of phone calls for Caesar Easy Weed sheets that were listed as 12 by 12 inches, which is kind of like the industry standard, but they were actually 12 by 11.8. The rolls come in metric lengths, so it's actually about 59 inches. It's 1.5 meters. And so when you cut it evenly into rolls, it's 11.8 inches wide. Well, then we would sheet those into 12-inch increments, 12 by 11.8 sheets. And so we would get a lot of calls and complaints and customer service emails and things about why their sheets weren't 12 inches. They were missing a third of an inch, essentially. And so to combat that, what I did was I inserted a field on the thumbnail of the product page, as well as the thumbnail when you're looking at the category level, as well as the actual product page, that had an actual size. So when people were looking at either one, it was in red letters, it was right in front of them, you couldn't miss it. And once I did that, we never got another single call or complaint or an email that I'm aware of. And so little things like that mean a lot. There's also other aspects of operational workflow, management of variants for colors and sizes and different things that I've dealt with over the years, and the different types of e-commerce sites that I've had that we've operated. And I just know the power of being able to modify it is something that's really hard to replace and substitute for. Also, those platforms are just kind of limited. And I've worked with Shopify before on basically one of their higher level plans for a while, and there were some interesting things about it, but there were also things that were very difficult to do, or it got very expensive, because then you're buying third-party add-ons, third-party development tools and things like that bring it all together. And there's a certain aspect of it that was nice, but certainly not something that fit the model that I want to build. And the other reason for that is there's a whole bigger picture here that I'll go over at some point about all the different pieces to run the company. And when you look at certain pieces of software, you have to look at it like it's an employee. The website is an employee that does work. It costs money and it gives a return. And so when it comes to other pieces of software to run the operation, you have a lot of things. You have your email campaign manager, you have service tickets, you have chat for the website, human resources, CRM, accounting, payroll, all these different pieces that I would rather sink my money into paying someone to do those things that are much more difficult to do than to do the website side that has to be more flexible, and then figure out how to make the two talk. And that's going to be some of the approach here. It's really sounds like overkill for the size company that we're starting, but I don't intend on this being a two-person company forever. Hopefully we're going to grow it to a fairly significant size and take you along this journey with us to do this. I'll talk more about those things down the road, but for now, staying away from those platforms that are pre-done and pre-made and cookie cutter ready to go. Those just aren't going to do ultimately what I need them to do. And so I've got some learning to do. I'm going to be using a different platform probably than I've used before, and figure out how to put this together. But right now I've got to get back to getting these websites consolidated, and I think I finally got past the problem I was having yesterday. So I'll get back to work and maybe share some more later. So another day in the books, and sorry I'm a little hot and sweaty. I just went out and walked a couple miles around the neighborhood with my neighbor and had a nice chat. It was a nice break to get out of the house, now from behind the desk for a little bit. I got to turn this light down. Oh, that light is bright. Oh, that's better. But it was a nice break after being heads down looking at the computer screen for a couple of days, and got my technical issues worked out that I was having a problem with yesterday, and started getting some progress finished, and actually started the migration of TroyTube to TroyTube today. Right now both of those sites are identical if you go to them. They're separate, so if you see something on one and not on the other, that's why. I've got a lot of changes, a lot of technical changes to make before I can bring it up live as TroyTube.net. But right now registrations are turned off, but you can still use all these text tools, the text transformation tool, and all those free tools and things that are on there for free. If you already have an account on there, you can log on. But new registrations I'm putting on hold until I can get everything switched over. It'll probably be this weekend before I can get that completed, because you're probably not going to hear from me for a couple of days, or if you do, it'll be very minimal, because we're going to Fort Jackson for Noah's graduation from boot camp this week, and I'll be kind of out of pocket for a couple of days. Might be able to get some video done or something, but we'll see how that goes, but probably not till the weekend anyway. But again, nice progress today, more progress today than yesterday, and going to have some fun things to look at here pretty soon. So if you don't hear from me before the weekend, I'll talk to you then.